Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 5, Tottenham Hotspur 4. Yeah, I mean, two teams that, have got a, bit of a reputation for being dogged defenders. Spurs being a little bit boring at times. I know Everton were quite open at the beginning of the season, but seem to have sorted a lot of those problems out. And they end up after 120 minutes with a 5-4. And only one of those goals scored the extra time. So, where'd you start with that one, Baz?
As I did say, it'd be won by one goal. The odd goal. Yeah. I did not think it'd be the odd goal in 9.
Yeah.
It was a mad game of football, wasn't it? It was it was so weird. The game is so weird that it was hard to fully understand what was going on because both defences were terrible, weren't they? There was errors on both sides, but it was a brilliant game as well, obviously, because when you come out of it, the right side of it, you can enjoy it and go, oh, what a great game, one of the great cup ties. If it had been 4-5, I would have been sat here bemoaning our defending, but no, it was mad. But like you say, brilliant.
Yeah, it was just, I suppose it was a classic example of the games we've been seeing recently without any fans in. Players doing wonderful things, players doing terrible things like switching off, concentration disappearing, but also having the ability to not get bogged down with and it just being a game of football and everything else. And to see Everton do that, to actually see us to see us in a game like that where it's
I'm not wilt.
Going behind early on, looking absolutely horrendous early on, conceding, coming back, getting a 3-1 lead, then losing a 3-1 lead, then going ahead and getting it pulled back, then going ahead again. It normally those kind of games don't normally fall our way for one reason or other. They normally end up
the other way.
They do. They always end up with you feeling like there was too much pressure on us, and it almost flips the other way. Bottling bottling. That's a good word for it. I mean, obviously we started the game with Yerry Mina, Michael Keane back in, and obviously Ben Godfrey at right back, and James Rodriguez will be on the right, but the bench, I think, sort of showed where Carlo's thinking was, well, I'll put a good 11 out, but I'm not risking the likes of Gomez and having two goalies on the bench who are quite young and not having a full complement of subs. And it did feel like he was like, well, we either win it or we don't push ourselves too much. But we started, as I said, really, really poorly, and Robin Olsen's had to pull off a great save early on, and then we conceded so softly from a corner. And all night set pieces where, my God, they were an issue, weren't they? Every time they had a corner, I was just thinking these could score. It was, and which is odd. Which is odd because we've defended set pieces so well.
Normally not really an issue when we concede a corner, but we conceded 15. Just felt like they had about 400 corners. It was depressing because you knew that we couldn't. We were all over the place at them, which is very like you just said, very unlike us. But they come out the traps flying, didn't they? They were straight at it immediately, and you're right, Olsen had to make a good save from Eric Lamela, and Lucas Moura could have prodded it home if he put it over. And that really should have shook us up and woke us up, but it didn't. And they swarmed all over us, and they got the goal a couple of minutes later, and it's abysmal marking, really, by us. I mean, why? I don't understand why Gylfi Sigurdsson's marking Davies and Sanchez off a corner. A centre-back who's decent in the air, there's a big, Gylfi's not known for his aerial prowess. I know they were in zones, but even so, for me, Michael Keane should have took him. Once he was trotted into the 6-yard box, Michael Keane should have said, I'll take him. The corner comes in and Gylfi turns his back on it, and the lad does.
Well, Gylfi wasn't facing the corner at any stage, any of them.
Sanchez is on the line with Olsen, Sigurdsson's marking him. And as he runs to take it, Sanchez just runs away from it, and Sigurdsson follows him, but turns his back on it. So all Sanchez does is jump and guide it, and it's 1-0. And you're like, 3 minutes gone, it's 1-0 already. Could be a long night, and for the next 10, 15 minutes, they moved the ball so much quicker than us. They broke quickly. And the keepers had to make, 2 or 3 good saves to keep us in it, really.
Yeah.
From just switching off, there was one that was cut back to Son. When he was on his own, he was like the only real player in the box. And we just left him. Everyone ran in and Doherty cut it back and Olsen's had to push it over. And it's that kind of thing. We just couldn't get any... I don't know, there was no cohesion from the back four.
It was slow. It was a slow start. It was a cold start. And
like I say,
they came out the traps.
They come out warming up before Everton, didn't he? And, when we're ready, they looked right on it. And we just didn't really know what to do. And then slowly but surely, I think Davies and Decore started getting hold of the ball and getting the tackles in. And we started then to push them back a little bit and add a little bit of joy. We'd had got ourselves into the game. Luca Dean put a couple of good crosses in, and Gylfi had a run and Richarlison had a shot blocked. Dominic Calvert-Lewin hit a post, and all of a sudden we were in the game. And from that moment, I think we were always in it. Then it was never to the same as the first 20 minutes where Spurs were clearly the better side.
Yeah, I think once we started matching the energy, we slowed down the game, I think, as well. We got hold of the ball and we kept it, and we lost it a few times, but it was high up the pitch, and then we've put the brakes on them coming forward, and as you said, we started to get a foothold in the game. And I mean, obviously our goal is very fortuitous, really, in terms of, well, it's not fortuitous because actually we've worked really hard for pressing. It. We've pressed them high up. We just did the post, hadn't we? So there's been a couple of warning signs. Post, yeah. We did the post and we'd had a couple of getting more and more into the game. And we've pressed them really high. We've won the ball back, and it's a great little ball by Sigurdsson just to move it in front of Dom. Dom, it's the first time. You could say the goalie should be doing better. I mean, if it was our goalie, I'd be having a meltdown. Because I don't really know what he was doing. But it's good to see Dom hitting a shot first time, having the confidence, powerful, and it's ended up in the back of the net. And from that, we're back in it. And suddenly you look at it and go, actually, we've done all right for the last 10 minutes. Keep that going. And very quickly, within a minute or two, great little flick by Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Richarlison is central, puts it across the goalkeeper, and suddenly, before you know it, you're 2-1 up.
Yeah, no, it was a good response. Like I say, you can see little changes in games, and once Decore and Davies got grip at the midfield, we started to really push them further back. They're always going to carry a threat with Son, and Lucas Moura, who's quick, he's always going to carry a threat, and Berwin was obviously an outball for them as well. But Everton just started edging up the pitch a bit then, and you're right, Dom, good goal, great flick by Gylfi Sigurdsson, good pressure on the ball, great flick, it's 1-1, and then the second one, the same, ball in, lovely little back heel by Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Richarlison doesn't do that enough, which is get himself centrally, go back across the keeper, and it's 2-1, and their heads are spinning then, and then Everton, it was wave after wave that we were coming forward, and it was them hanging in a little bit. I think they were looking around thinking, hang on, we were in control of this game 10-15 minutes ago, what's happening? And we go and then get a penalty. It's Sigurdsson again, great first touch, ball forward, lovely first touch, holds it up, Dom makes the run, ball inside, Højbjerg catches him, it's a penalty, and the referee gave it was amazing. We actually got a penalty. And Gylfi Sigurdsson gives the keeper the eyes, and it's 3-1. And then you're in total control. 3-1, and it's like, right, where he got 3 minutes from. See people telling me it was for the goals. Yeah, all right. 30 seconds a goal, which is 2 minutes. He played 3 minutes. But even then, the first 2 minutes passed with nothing.
Yeah. And
then the ball comes up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. His first touch is brilliant. Now, if he just rolls it back to Iwobi, who's trying to break, we're on the counter-attack, and he doesn't. He flicks it the other way and loses it. And they work it, and then all of a sudden, Lamela, gets it, goes through Yerrymina's legs, and he dinks it over Olsen. And it's that thing of, like, it was literally the last kick at the half, and you're like, if we could have just survived another minute. It changes the mindset then, doesn't it? You go in 3-2 up, rather than 3-1, and you're thinking, they've got the momentum there, and they've got Harry Kane to come on.
Yeah.
And at that time, you know, you think, but we were still, you know, we were looking like we'd caused them problems when we went forward, and so there was that in your mind that we can score more goals here, but just don't give a good side any encouragement. And it was so frustrating, that Lamela goal, because it was right on the break.
Yeah, it was an awful goal to concede. I mean, no idea what Mina's actually trying to do. I don't know what he's trying to do.
Davies had a great game, but he's with Lamela and he stops running, and Lamela runs. But then even then, though, it's gone through Mina's leg, but I don't know what happened. And Ben Godfrey didn't track him either, so there's just a couple of things we can do better. And then the keeper turned his back on it, which was a bit weird as well. But he finished it great, Lamela, and it is that thing of don't give them a cheap goal, and he did it. And it drives me mad that when we do things like that, really does.
No, it was poor goal. As I said, I'm not really sure what Mina's doing. I mean, you can go through everything, but if Mina just puts his foot through the ball, it's, you know, it's mad.
Shut.
It's mad, yeah. You just put your foot through the ball. So obviously that changes the perception. We go in 3-2 rather than 3-1, and obviously it gives them something to come out for. And again, coming down to set pieces again, and again, just, I mean, the third goal is just abysmal, isn't it? It's absolutely abysmal. Just again, Sigurdsson's got his back to the actual play. He's not watching. He's not watching. He's jockeying. He's not watching. Ball comes in and gets the first flick. Keeper makes the save, and Sigurdsson's not even aware what's going on, and the lad sticks a leg out and gets a goal.
You're hoping that it's offside, aren't you? But he's just onside, and it's like, if you don't win the first contact there, you're in trouble, and they get the flick. And it's a good save, actually. At the time, I was thinking, could the keeper have done better? He couldn't. It was a good save. It was in. It was going in anyway. He makes a good save. You need that little bit of luck to where it's bouncing, and it doesn't. It goes to them. Sanchez reacts quicker than Sigurdsson. It's 3-3. Kid had scored 1 goal for Spurs before yesterday. My mate texted me and said the only thing I had on my mind for the rest of the match was Davies and Sanchez is on a hat-trick.
Yeah.
But, it's 3-3, and it's like, there's the kick, Kane's on, and then all of a sudden, BT were made up. BT,
of course
oh God, they were made up when they saw Kane coming on, they couldn't wait. Dom goes off, and it's like, have we got enough here to go again? And, the manager brought Coleman on, which I thought was a strange sub at the time, just because we were losing a centre forward, but he just played in front, didn't he, and of Godfrey, and tried to run them. And then,
ironically, didn't really offer too much defensively.
No, he was just a runner.
It was more about running, wasn't it, for Coleman?
Which kind of pushed them back a little bit, which was fine. I mean, I don't think he had a particular... I've seen people saying he was great. I don't think he was great, but I think he was energetic. He was enthusiastic. And then Bernard come on. I thought Bernard done really well, actually, because...
I thought he was a bit sloppy.
But what he does, Bernard, when it comes to him, is he'll take the ball low in tight areas and he'll hold it, and he just buys you that little bit of time. Because let's be honest, Alex Iwobi had one of his poorest games, didn't he? He just couldn't get into the game.
Well, that's what I said in my
couldn't get into
my video. It was like, he couldn't get into it, just never got into the game. And if he doesn't get into the game, then he's not one of those players that just has that. Where you get someone like Richarlison, who has moments, who can have a terrible game, but then have a moment.
Yeah.
But Iwobi just doesn't, he's not that type of player.
He's either got to be on it, or he's a waste of time, really, isn't he, almost? Because he's just, the game passed him by totally, which is weird, because he has been in decent form of late.
But at 3-3, the mad thing is at 3-3, I could only really see one winner, because they brought Harry Kane on, like you said. Richarlison goes up front, but he's different. The ball wasn't sticking. And don't get me wrong, we weren't like stuck in. It wasn't like we weren't under the cosh. You just felt like if a chance fell, and if it fell to Harry Kane, that would be the difference. But it's us who gets the chance, and Richarlison finishes absolutely brilliantly.
The ball again from Sigurdsson.
Yeah,
good run. You see, that's what's different with Richarlison to Dom. Dom is back to goal. Dom's the threat in the air. Dom's the one you can look for from wide areas. He's the first contact from a keeper kicking it out. I thought Olsen's kicking was better last night, by the way. I thought he actually put his foot through it. Whereas Richarlison wants things in behind him, and that's what we did. We got him in behind. Sigurdsson, good ball. He let it run across his body. Didn't look the most comfortable strike, but he's hit it across the keeper, and it's in off the far post, and it's brilliant. And that hopefully will do him the world of good. One with his right foot, one with his left foot. He was a real threat. And at 4-3, it's like because ironically, I just felt like we'd win the game the whole way through, even at 1-0. I thought if we can stay in it, I think we've still got a chance. And we're talking and thinking, yeah. And then ironically, when we went into extra time, that was the time when I didn't feel like we'd win it, which was mad. But we got 4-3 up, and then Michael Keane should have put the game to bed for us. Seamus Coleman, and down the right, Seamus Coleman puts a brilliant cross in. He's got a free header. And if he just heads it across the keeper, it's 5-3, it's over, because Lloris is planted, and he heads it straight at him. And for Michael Keane, who's decent in the air, because as he hung her up, I'm thinking, just angle that and it's game over. And he heads it straight at him. You see in the bench, you see in the reaction on the bench. Everton knew it was Carlo knew it was a big chance. Good save. And then the threat is Harry Kane, then, isn't he? And a couple of minutes later.
Well, it was some, wasn't it? It was a corner. It was
corner again. We kept giving corners away, though.
Do you know what this one? No one annoyed me about this one, right? So this came from Son's ball across, didn't he? The fourth. So Son...
Well, Decore just headed it off the line. The same move.
Or was it the third one? Sorry, I'm thinking of... There's one where the ball goes across, Son puts it across, and it gets cleared. And Ben Goffey standing on the touchline just knocks it out when he could have put it down the field.
Yeah, it was the third.
That might have been the third, anyway.
That was the third.
But yeah, they had a shot, sorry, and it comes back.
Well, they had the corner, it come in, it broke, Lamela hit it.
Yeah.
It hits Decore, I think, on the head rather than him knowing.
Yeah.
Comes out and you think, we've got away with that. Tom Davies goes out, thinks he's offside. He's got to get a bit tighter, and he goes by Tom. And then Seamus Coleman does that thing of like, I'm going to it, but he stops. Yeah. If he carries on, he cuts the angle down, he doesn't. He stops. Son puts it's a lovely ball. I'm unsure whether the keeper could have done better, because he seemed to just follow the ball instead of...
Mina does as well.
And Yerry Mina's marking Harry Kane, and then pulls off Harry Kane onto the line almost, and Kane comes in like a good striker would do, boom, diving at the 4-4, and you're thinking, oh God, here we go, it's only Everton. And then if the game kind of flattened again, and then they get a corner with the last kick of the game, don't think you're thinking, oh no, don't again. And luckily, it's a corner to the near post, and we clear it, and the ref ends it. But like I said then, I was just thinking, we've been, one down, we got back to 3-1, and they pegged us back, and we've gone 4-3 ahead again. Have we got enough? Because they brought Harry Winks on, they brought Vinicius up front, Dele Alli.
And our subs were...
And our subs, we had nothing else, did we?
Seamus Coleman, Bernard, and obviously Holgate came on as well at right back.
Holgate done all right when he came on, actually.
Went off.
Gave us a little bit of... But ironically, in extra time, there was just one moment when Harry Kane played a 1-2 and the back heel, and he was in, and luckily he slipped and got a shot away, and Olsen saved it.
There's one where Mina put the block in as well, early on.
And Mina got a block. But other than that, it was us that were looking, we had chances to kill a game. And
well, it's a great goal, isn't it? It's a brilliant goal. Coleman comes in off the right, gives it off, keeps his run going round the back. Sigurdsson, it's brilliant by Sigurdsson. Sigurdsson had such a strange game, but in terms of defensively, a couple of goals he'd give up, but he's
3 assists
and a goal, and this ball was just absolutely fantastic. And Bernard,
wasn't
it? You're looking at Bernard thinking, don't be offside. He finishes it brilliantly, near enough the same spot Richarlison's got the fourth from. And it's a great ball, it's a great goal, and then you're just thinking, right, come on, let's see this. And to be fair, I think Michael Keane there was one that header where it was like, at first it was like, but then it was like, actually that was really close.
That off a thing.
And they didn't, I don't know whether it was almost like, we can't, they almost...
I think when Bernard scored, there was a noticeable drop from then, as if it was like, we can't do it again. We've come back. Is it almost, not is it worth it? But that's what it was like. It just looked like Spurs didn't have the energy to go again, which is normally what we do, isn't it? And I think that might have been the case. Had they gone 5-4, we might have been like, this is a big effort, but obviously, the Bernard goal is brilliant for the simple reason that, like you say, Coleman makes a great bend and run, which takes Matt Doherty with him. Doherty runs with him, and Bernard makes that run, and Doherty's on, keeping him on side. And it's, at first, you're thinking the flag will go up here, because you just see it live, don't you? And it bounces, and it's a great finish. Lets it run across his body and finishes it. And what was good there was, I think we had, and whether it was Richarlison or Tom Davies had followed it in, so Hadley's got a hand to it. There was a tap in as well, which I thought was really good. Finishes it well, and when you look at it again, it's a brilliant run. The ball's brilliant by Sigurdsson, and you're right, Keane has a header. Gylfi has one where he should just reverse the pass to Richarlison, and it's game over. and he hits the shot and Lloris has to make a good save. Other than that, they had nothing. It was only really the Harry Kane moments of 4-0 when he slipped. And that was it, you know, we defended well enough. You're just waiting for the time. You know, you're thinking it'll be 6 minutes injury time here, and it was 3.
Yeah.
And we were clever. We won a cup. Tom Davies won a brilliant foul.
Yeah.
Like he does on the edge of the box, and someone else got a free kick right near the end. And it was Mason. Let him push him, and he threw himself down. It was like, that's it now. It's done. You know, and it's that great thing when you see the clearance go 70 yards and the referee's like ready to go, isn't it? And, you know, luckily for us, that was it. And it was we were on the right end of a classic game for once, you know. We've had some great games, and, you know, I think back to like the 4-0 with Liverpool all those years ago, and, you know, that was a ding-dong game, and we come back in it. And, okay, we didn't win on the night, but we won the replay. But, you know, United, for a few years ago, 3-1 down and 4-4 at Old Trafford, but we didn't win them. Where this one, it was a classic game, and we were on the right, you know, the right end of it. But I think that, again, me and you talked about this, it's like, and I think we might have said this on the preview, or we said it yesterday, there's obstacles that are in the way that as a squad, and funnily enough, I heard Rio Ferdinand talking about this after it. It's like that, once you start doing things like what Everton have done, as a team, now listen, the FA Cup draws today, we could get a terrible draw or whatever, but what he's saying is there's big games like this, and when you face, you know, adversity in these games and you come out on top, it's like another thing out the way. It's like what we
it's
said.
belief, innit?
Yesterday was a big game for Everton. People were talking up Spurs, you know, our record's not very good against Tottenham. They're a big team. Can we beat them? Harry Kane's back, blah, 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 blah. Well, we knocked them out. Okay, they never had their full strength team, neither did we. You know, we didn't have Gomez, we didn't have Allen, we didn't have James. 3 players that would probably be in our, or certainly 2 of them would be in our, what we'd perceive as our best 11. They didn't have Eric Dyer and a couple of others, you know, which would have helped them. So, but they still had a strong side, and their bench was better than ours. So it was a big thing for Everton that last night. And again, like we said before, the bottlers thing, you know, that was almost there for Everton to bottle, and they didn't. They came through it, and hopefully now that gives them the belief. You know, the late equaliser at Old Trafford, last kick of the game at the weekend. You know, went to Leeds, there was a real test of character after a shambolic display against Newcastle.
Yeah.
And they've answered the 3 games in a big way, and that's all you can do.
That's it, isn't it? It's about doing something, so next time you get into a situation, you feel like you can do it again. You know, if you know, like at Old Trafford, you come back from 2-0 down, you make it 2-2, you go back 3, you go down behind 3-2, you get a last minute equaliser. It's having that belief, and that belief creates the belief to continue.
And you put the worry on the opposition.
Yeah.
That these are
not going to stop. These don't stop. These keep doing what they're doing. You know, we've seen it from other teams not too far away who, you know, do
wear you down, don't they?
Well, no, they do the same thing. They have that belief. The fans believe. If you look at us at Old Trafford on the weekend, you 2-0 down at half time. Then if that happens again, you can say to them, you've done this before. There's no reason why you can't. And again last night, you know, you go behind early on. It's fine. Okay, well let's, you know, that's it.
The ability to, I suppose, keep playing, isn't it? When you go a goal down for too long. And this has changed a little bit under Carlo Ancelotti, but for too long, going behind meant it was game over. Now, okay, funnily enough, at home a couple of times this season, we felt like that because we've had no options to change it. You lose the first goal, it's like going to be a long way back. But we saw at Watford last season, we went 2-0 down. Normally, that's game over. You know, and that was the first time that we'd come behind.
I look at it in terms of, like, when you're watching the game, like, listen, when we scored the 5th goal, obviously a lot's been made of Carlo Ancelotti's reaction to it, you know, just cooling down his drink. Point being is, and we've seen this at the weekend, when we got the equaliser and Duncan Ferguson's bouncing around like a lunatic and Carlo's just calm. Carlo's seen it all in football. And I almost I get this feeling that when Carlo's watching a game, he's just watching a game. He's not, he doesn't...
There's no emotion there.
I don't think it's about emotion. What I think it's about is he's looking at the game thinking, he's taking it in. And because I don't think great managers feel like they can change loads during the game while the game's going on. Yes, at half time, They can have their input, but I don't think they feel like they can do much when the game's on. So what you do, you watch it, you look at what's going on, and you like when we lost at the derby last year in the cup, when afterwards it was Carlos like he doesn't talk to anyone after the game. You go in and say a couple of words, but then it's Monday morning. That's when the work starts. And I think that's what the same with Carlo is. You can't change anything while a game's going on. It's at half time or whatever, or in the week. That's when the hard work happens. I think that's what we're starting to see from this side now is that the hard work is starting to come off now. Because you can't go from being an average team to suddenly challenging for certainly leagues or maybe Champions League space. Cups are a little bit different if you get your rubber green. And I think you're starting to see the hard work, the belief starting to pay off. What the manager puts the stamp on. That comes from better players, of course. Having players like James Rodriguez who've done it before. But like having players like Abdoulaye Doucouré was brilliant last night. Like absolutely brilliant. Like but also it's
how many times does he look like he's lost the ball and just somehow the Spider-Man leg?
But there's also players that I know we spoke about Iwobi before, but there's also players that you look at the game, maybe like Gylfi Sigurdsson, where you go and go, oh, he's what's he doing? And then the next minute he does something brilliant. So you can't always necessarily think someone's having a terrible game just because of a moment. And I think that's where we're getting better. Everything's not. Do you know what I mean? Everything's not the whole game. I know everything. It comes in waves. Football, seasons and matches, and I think we're all lifting ourselves that level, and that's where like I feel and I've felt like this for a while, where I can watch a match now just feeling so much calmer about the whole thing rather than having my emotions being up and down, because I can see that the process is definitely working. You can see that we're definitely getting better. We're seeing that there's a mentality change. There's a shift. Players are getting better. I think people are starting to understand. Heads are not dropping if things go against them. It's just football. I think that's what good sides do. They have a mentality of, well, if you've scored, sound, we'll have to go back and do it again, won't we? That's football, isn't it? It's not this idea of let's score one and then hang on for the rest of the game. That's not a mentality, is it? That's luck a lot of the time.
Yeah, if you get away with it, it's getting away with it. No, I think you're right. I mean, I'm better in some games, but still 3-1. Throwing game, I'll never ever be all right with throwing cheap goals away.
But it doesn't matter about being all right.
Never.
It's not about being all right.
It's just as.
But that's not I don't look at it like being all right. I look at it like you shouldn't throw your hand in a 3. You shouldn't score 5 and win a game by 1. But if you've conceded 4 and you win the game, then you've done something right in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's not about thing. It's about maybe after. That's what I'm saying with Carlo. It's about after the game. You look at the bigger picture and go, "Come on, lads, we shouldn't be doing this and we shouldn't do that." It's when the game's actually being played. It's about refining those emotions, and I think that's why sometimes when you go the match, it can be like that, because obviously, if we'd been in at the game last night for the first 20 minutes, we'd be freezing. We'd have our hands in our head. People would be like, "Wake up" and all that. But then we did wake up and then we got into the game. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think as fans we have to just follow the process as well, because I think the players are following the process.
There's tangible evidence in front of you now that they are getting better and better. There's an improvement. Gylfi Sigurdsson looks a totally different player than he did last season, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Looks a totally different player than he did 3 months ago. Since November, I think he's just got better and better. Tom Davies, better and better. Looks as though he actually knows. I mean, last night, the amount of time, I think he had 75% dribble, completed that. A couple of times he picked the ball up and went beyond a couple of plays and popped it off, like we used to see from him when he was uncomfortable in what he's doing. And we've seen the improvement from, I don't think Michael Keane was very good last night, but in general, we've seen a good improvement from Michael Keane, Yerry Mina. So the evidence is there. Everybody, most of them players seem to be improving. And you're right, it's down to what they do. It's not necessarily down to matches. Matches are what happens at the end of the week, and you go in a game and you play, and hopefully all your hard work pays off. But sometimes you won't win because the opposition are just better on the day, or there's a stroke of luck, or things like that. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen the Leicester-Brighton goal last night.
Yeah.
Apparently Brighton were excellent and Leicester get a corner and everyone's arguing over something else and they just take it and the lad, everyone forgot to mark Iniato. Yeah. So their game plan's been excellent and gone out the window because they've switched off. They'll work on that. So Everton have done that through training and have to continue to do that. And we are seeing the evidence of that. And it's why we're in the quarter-final of the FA Cup. We got to the quarter-final of the League Cup. We're in the race for a European place. Because that evidence is there, and if we can add 3 or 4 more in the summer of quality to that team, that squad, Everton will have a proper side. And what I mean by a proper side is a team that it doesn't become what you just said, score, and hopefully we can hang on for the next 70 minutes and nick this game 1-0, and we're also, it's a game, it's a team where you can go, let's go and get the second and the third here, and not be flummoxed if we can see the goal, not go, oh, the plan's gone out the window, and because we just got 3 at Old Trafford, we just scored 5 against Spurs, United defence is quite, defensive record is all right. Not many teams score 3 at Old Trafford, we've got 3. Not many teams score 5 against Spurs. For Spurs, not many teams score 4 against Everton, but they did. But it is about that, isn't it? So the evidence is there, but in a cup game, I guess, it's about winning a game, and there was no fans in there. You're right. So it was just a case of just keep going. Because you're right. We could have buried our own team after 20 minutes had we been there last night, and it played out the way it is. And what I mean by that is people losing it, sitting there, because you wouldn't have sat there quietly with no one's putting tackles in or they're cutting through you. It happens. Human nature is you're trying to get a reaction out of the players. But then again, we might not have given a 3-1 up if we'd have had our crowd there. So
yeah, of course it's
just great to have won the game.
No, it is brilliant to win the game. Let's just look at the stats from the game. 29 shots. Interesting.
120 minutes. I mean, a few of them were all in the same action, where it'd be a shot block, come back, and he had the others. Like the Lamela chance in the opening minutes, two attempts at goal, isn't it? Eder and Moura puts it over, but 29 in 120 minutes is a lot.
So we scored half of our shots on target. Incredible.
Yeah.
We lost the possession, was always nice. It's always nice to lose.
For us.
I always love losing the possession.
Yeah.
It always only leads to one thing, that's wins. Yeah, all good.
Passes,
all good.
Yeah.
Just stats, aren't they, at the end of the day? Tom Davies was superb last night. Like superb.
Yeah.
And that foul he got in the last minute of extra time was just it was like the big
tick
that
he has to do, yeah.
Big tick at the end. He was just know what it started. It started with the shoulder badge on was it Sissoko, and it just took him. I think it was Sissoko. He just took Sissoko out. I think we were 1-0 down at the time, but it was like a collision. But it was like
I don't think it was Sissoko. On Dombele.
Was it Dombele? Yeah.
Sissoko come on the sub. Yeah,
Dombele, and he just took him out. Absolutely took him out, and that was almost like that thing of like I might look the biggest, but actually I am.
No, well, I think you're right. We were 1 down and we were looking to get something in the game. Dave and Dombele had a good opening 20 minutes. I mean, Andy was raving about him. I honestly didn't see him after the opening 20 minutes after that, really. But he is a top player. I wanted him when he was at Lyon. He's a good player. But Davies got into the game. I think what he's done. A few people in the comments on my 3 things video, because I talked about Tom Davies on that, made some really good points. It's like he got in, and we all loved him, and then he just had managers who they've done nothing with him. Allardyce didn't really care. Koeman messed them up. Koeman gave him his opportunity, should have cherished them, didn't. We know that Davies felt.
Well, he bought the Dutch Tom Davies instead.
Did he? Davies about 3 times the player, but he stunted his growth. Allardyce didn't care. Silva didn't know what to do with him. I brought this up, and I was a thing of Marco Silva's like, he's trying to do the right thing, whatever. But remember, they asked Marco Silva about Tom Davies whether he could play in the 6. Remember, he said no. He said, oh, he probably can, but we don't see him as that. So it was like, well, what do you see him as then? And then since Carlo Ancelotti's come in.
And yeah, Carlo said this week, like, he can't play the 10.
No.
Like, he was asked point blank, he said, no, he's a 6, he can't play the 10. And actually, we need to simplify what he does because maybe his passing's not good enough yet. He said, but in a 3, you can play probably all those positions if it's in a 3. which is what we've said before.
I think what's really good is I think Alan has helped them unbelievably by coming in, because I think when you get someone else in the comments, and it was right, it was like, who's he had to model a game on in Everton's midfield? Who's he had over the last 3 years to look at and go, I want to be like you? Fabian Delph will be limping half the time, wouldn't he? Would never be available if it was Delph. It can't be Gabamon because you haven't seen him. There's no one else really in that. He doesn't play like Garner because he's not quick enough to get around the pitch like Garner. So he's had no one to really look and go, I actually want to play the way you do. Ancelotti was obviously a midfield player, so he can give him them advice. But Alan's come in. Alan's a top player, we know he is. And he plays a certain role in that team. And I think Tom Davies has said on more than one occasion, he looks what Alan does, he's watched videos of what he does. And when you simplify your game down, the way Davies does, now, if he can simplify his game, he is a really good midfielder. And he showed that at Old Trafford at the weekend, and he showed it last night.
It's a case of, like, I'm sure when Alan got injured, they knew how long he was going to be out for. Well, didn't tell us, but they knew how long he was going to be out for. It was a bad one, obviously, probably nearly 3 months. It'll be when he, and it was a chance to, they will have probably said to Tom Davies, you've got a chance to be in this team, but this is what we need you to do. And it's, some games are better than others. Some games are in periods, he does better. Again, it's that idea of take moments from the game. It mightn't be the whole performance, but if it's growing into one direction, I think the last two games we've seen all-round good games. Will he give the ball away? Yes, he will give them, because every player gives the ball away on the pitch.
You'll see in a minute when we put the
every player gives the ball away in certain positions, especially if you're trying to get people in. If the one on Saturday where he puts the ball into Dom, that could have, if that ball is a fraction slower, that ball gets cut out.
Or a fraction quicker, it's out for a try.
But because he's tried it, we scored from it, because you have to try certain things.
He put one through to Luca Dean last night, bent it into his path from our half, just took about 4 players out the game, and Dean just ran onto it, crossed it, they cleared it, but it was a great ball. And it was like, that's what we want to see from you, because if you're penetrating with passes, then we're going to have more success, and you're going to catch teams who aren't set. I think the biggest problem that Everton have got at sometimes is, but that's slow with our passing, that the opposition is set, and then no one wants to take the chance to try and break the lines then, because they're in the way. So there is that. He's just got better and better. We saw the evidence of it at Sheffield United, didn't we? He dictated the whole game that day on Boxing Day, and we won the game. And he just sat in there and he got it and he picked and he popped it about and he was offering angles, and that was like the real start of this upturn again, even though I think he'd done all right in other games. We want it to continue. Yeah. We want it to continue, because even if he's not in our starting 11 all the time, we want him to be someone we can call on, who can come in and do the job. And we all want to be behind him, don't we? It's what I said on my video last night. Why wouldn't you want him to do well? We all want to be behind him, because we all want... There's no Everton player, who puts an Everton shirt on and I don't want him to perform. Honestly, there's none. I want Jordan Pickford to be the best he can be when he puts the top on. I want Gylfi Sigurdsson. I've said before, I wouldn't have him in my best Everton 11, but I want him to do well. I was made up last night when he's setting goals up and scoring. It's great. I hope he carries on like that, because then you do start thinking, actually, he's really important. To
he's definitely getting a new contract.
Possibly.
I told you this before. He's definitely getting a new contract.
Well, whatever. We'll see, won't we? But he's got to continue to do it. He won't if he drops off again.
No, but he'll definitely get a new contract. Manager loves him. Let's look at Tom's numbers. Touches 95, passes 68, pass accuracy 91%. That's amazing. Long balls 7, ground duels won 5 out of 10, aerial duels won 3 out of 3. Amazing. Tackles 1, clearances 3, and interceptions 2. So a fantastic all-round performance.
What makes me laugh is some people's narrative. I mean, I've swerved social media because it's nonsense nowadays. That just attracts any idiots. But what made me laugh with the narrative on there is always gives the ball away. Yeah, Tom Davies' pass percentage is always above 90%, always, which now people can go, stats don't mean, well, that does. That does, because it's actually you're passing. So if you're passing it to the opposition, go and look at some other midfield players. They were perceived as being great passes. There's a 60s and 70s, and it'll be ones who are trying to pop things around and trying to take chances. Your percentage will drop. His is always 90%.
But him and Decore were the bedrock,
Decore
weren't they?
was incredible.
They were the bedrock. Decore did all the running, Tom did the sitting. And I said before, Tom receives the ball so well. The angles, he's always on the half turn, his angles are great. And then it's, can you find the pass? But like Carlo Ancelotti said, he's asked him to simplify his game. He said he was taking 2 or 3 touches more than he needed to. And I think at the highest level, you can't do that, can you? You can't. Well, it's not only he'll get caught in possession because the way teams press now. You'll get caught. So it's a case now of take a touch, get it back, and then move forward. And I thought last night he also looked bullish. He looked like he wouldn't be bullied. He looked like he wouldn't be pushed around. He looked like, if you're going to come in for a 50-50 with me, I'll win this. You know, and you seen it at the end. You know, the desire, the you know, to win the game, and the joy to win the game, and
screaming money.
You know, you've got play. Listen, if people don't like him for whatever else, but don't bring that into your opinions of what, because this is a lad who causes no trouble and is an ultra professional. He's ultra professional.
Evertonian.
Yeah, but he's ultra professional.
No, but we bemoan players who don't care.
Yeah.
Don't we? We go, he's not bothered, he doesn't care, he's not fighting for the shirt, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. And yet we've got a lad who does all of that and wants to do it. It's just that sometimes he's a little bit lax in the way he plays, which means, or he'll take a chance that he probably shouldn't do. But the more he gets that out of his game, which again is experience, he's 22 years of age. Said it again on me 3 things, is that 5 different managers have played him. Carlo Ancelotti, if we trust Carlo Ancelotti and call him a world-class manager, then how can we say Tom Davies is not good enough? He's crap, he's championship. If this manager picks him over other players. So you can't trust the manager for some things and call these players garbage if he's playing them, can you? Because there is other options. It's okay if you've got one goalkeeper at the club and that's it. You have to play him, but we've got plenty of midfield players who can play in there, and he's playing before them. So we want him to do well. Would he be in a title-winning Everton side? We don't know. You know, there's probably other midfield players who are better, but it's up to, if he keeps improving, then why wouldn't he? You know, I've said to you before, the team that won the league in the 80s was Kevin Richards and Al Napa as our people who come in and were brilliant. They were brilliant. Didn't get in Everton's first 11 all the time, but they won a lot of trophies because of them. So, you know, you do need these players who you can rely on and go, he'll come in and do a great job for us for half a dozen games. And he mightn't be the one you pick, you know, when everyone's fit, because there might be a different player might be able to do something different. But we want him to get better and better. He was brilliant. Him and Decore, excellent. And I've said before, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a midfield 3 of him, Alan and Decore for some games, whereas he sits and Alan can go and do his pressing and harrying, and Decore does the same.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, as said before, I'd love to, you know, get into Europe, and I think Tom would play a big role if we got into like the Europa League. Let's say, you know, you know, with six games, I think he'd play a big part in it. I think it'd be massive for him for his development. That's the kind of players you need when you want to get through the group stage. People you can rely on. So he was excellent last night, and I just want more people to believe in him. And he'll have other games where he's not great. Of course he will. But it's about, you know, it's about going, give him the benefit of the doubt, like we have with people like Richarlison. Do you know what I mean?
People can't be perfect all the time, can they? Sadly. They can't though, can they? Most, they can't. You know, it's and
they can't be perfect, like I said before, all the way through a game, are they?
No.
There's
moments in every game, isn't it? There's moments you miss sitters and go, oh my God, and then next minute he comes up the winner and you're all, what a player. And, you know, the best players in the world missed, I mean, you know, Lionel Messi missed about 4 sitters in a game a couple of years ago that, you know, would have been very different had he put one of them away. And
the world would be different, wouldn't it?
He's one of the greatest footballers ever to play the game. So
be a happier place.
It does happen.
There you go. Great win. Through to the quarter-finals. We'll find that fate out tonight. Be kind. Come on, be kind. But whoever it is, that's who it is.
Home to Bournemouth will be nice. Even though that wouldn't be, it's not obviously a walk over, but that'll do. Bournemouth at home.
There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. don't forget, give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to watch this video live, we do it live. We're doing this live right now. And when this goes off, we'll continue with the patrons and get their comments and their thoughts on the game and a bit more stats, that kind of thing. So if you want to get involved in that, make sure to join us on Patreon. The link is in the description and it's also on here right now. See you later. Right.